Hi there, here's another MFL resource video for you, which I hope is really helpful. I hope brings you a lot of joy and a lot of relief, and a lot of joy in the classroom with your students. I think one of the joys of our job as a languages teacher, but teacher generally, although I've noticed that language teaching is a little bit easier, it's a lot more interactive, is just the sheer enjoyment that you can have in the languages classroom, the discovery, the communication. You know, we're social beings as humans. We were, created to chat along and tell stories and just communicate. And I love that on a good day in the languages classroom, teaching, it doesn't really feel like much effort at all. It feels like something that I was born to do. So I'm probably in the right job, but also something that's very, very enjoyable, and it gives me a real buzz, and it gives the kids a real buzz, and learning about new cultures and the way things are, it's enjoyable, and so I hope that you have that as well. There was a time over the lockdown where it got so bad and so unpleasant, and so difficult, just dealing with all of the difficult, all of the hard parts of teaching, particularly in the type of school where I work, and not having any of the benefits, any of the things that kind of make it a little bit better, that knock off the rough edges after a tough week. It was a rough grind. So I think, if it had continued much longer, I'd probably be a bricklayer, but I'm not, and here I am. So I hope this resource is really enjoyable for you, and it really is, again, is battleships, folks. So Schiffer Versenken, this one's German. It's one of my younger Year 9 German classes. Really good bunch of kids, and the kind of kids who just lap it up. You give them German, they just soak it all up, and it's a real joy. Don't overlook that. Don't forget to be grateful for that when you get that class, because we all know we can focus on the tough classes, where we kind of wonder how much is going in, how much you're going to remember, how much you're going to value and be grateful for. This is the type of class where it all goes in, and whatever you give, you just get back. So this is Battleships. This is actually really simple to set up. It is a grid, so you can see we're on OneNote. This is what my school adopted over the lockdown. It's actually pretty good. I haven't got much to compare it against, but it's actually quite good. But in terms of a speaking activity, we have done last week Ich habe mein Geburtstag, or mein Geburtstag, so my birthday. So there are, they're talking about when their birthday is, and we're kind of building them up about personal information and family and all sorts of stuff. But we did birthday last week, and initially, what I want to talk you through, what this resource looked like, it just looked like numbers. So the week's task on the scheme of work was numbers and birthday, right? So this resource had been made by a colleague of mine, and it was originally just numbers, and it didn't quite make sense. It would have worked okay-ish, but I've come in and I've edited this a little bit. And what I've done, as you can see here, there was no right-hand column. So what I've done is I've added in the right-hand column, I've added in some months. We've got some teens, numbers if you will, so 18, 14, 11, 12, 19, 13. And we had originally just 8, 9, 1, 7, 5, 10. Okay? 8, 9, 1, 7, 15. What I've gone and done is I've put some stuff in brackets, and I'm giving the children options here, because I want to make this resource as efficient as possible. So I don't want lots of things crowding the table. And the way I can do that is I can just be quite efficient with how I write stuff in. I can put stuff in brackets, I can put the stars there and yellow highlights, so it's clear, it's obvious, here's extra information that you will need. But because there's now 3 left, top and right, 3 options for them, I've got a resource that a lower ability student can use, and I've got a resource that a higher ability student can use, because a higher ability student is like a greyhound at the races. They want to go off and they want to use the language, and that needs to be encouraged. You know, the lower ability students do need to be supported. My feeling is, reflecting on my own teaching, but also teaching of others that I've observed or spoken to, the higher ability students get left to one side. And actually, shoot me, I'd actually rather it was the other way around. I'd rather the higher ability, I want both, you know, don't get me wrong, but we cannot leave the higher ability students behind. And so what I've done is I've just tweaked the resource, literally 3 minutes. And what it means is that my higher ability people can now say, instead of just acht und 20, what I will put on the board, or I might talk to them beforehand to give them a mental challenge, see if they remember it, and then add it if they need it, is things like nicht, niemals, vielleicht, adding in negations, question terms, you know, vielleicht means maybe, so it's kind of a throwing it up in the air. And my students can then start saying stuff like, my birthday is on the 28th of November. It is not on the 18th of November. And that would be this box here. So we've got the 18, we've got the 8, we've got the 28th. Really higher ability pupils looking at the brackets and he's saying, my father's birthday is actually on the 28th. Mine's on the 8th. My sister's is on the 18th. And I'm just like, yes! 3 weeks in and you're already figuring this out. And, you know, I've got an open classroom sort of policy. If you've got a question, ask me the question and I will help. Even if it's slightly off topic, I'll put it on the board. And if you want to use that and you want to practice using it, brilliant. Because that, I feel, is how we can make the classroom open and encouraging to these pupils. We're letting them go down good rabbit holes and we're trying to draw good stuff out. And that, ironically, is probably the stuff that will stick. You obviously need, I say obviously, if you've got tablets, you could do this on the tablet. I quite like having this as a piece of paper. You might need little counters or things with pen lids. They can be quite resourceful, can they, children? Here, by the way, I mean, it is a birthday topic. You'll need to think through what is the topic of this game for us in whichever language. I would say as well, don't try and cover too much. This can be a 10-15 minute game, really fun speaking game. I'm not sure whether it would feel like a 30 to 40 minute lesson. It could do, but you might want to add in like a competitive element, a league table. Maybe there's groups on different tables and they're kind of visiting and you've got like a competition, away games, home games, so that they're not noticeably, in their minds, doing the same thing over and over again. There's a different element that's keeping it competitive. And obviously the language is the thing that we're looking for, so we want to hear lots and lots of language. Lower ability pupils, we want to get them from stilted, stuttering language at the start to kind of fluent sentences. Higher ability pupils, I'd be saying, right, I want to be here in third person, so my sister's birthday, okay, so sie hat am 27. November ihr Geburtstag, or meine Schwester's Geburtstag, which, you know, the purists probably should be saying, der Geburtstag von meiner Schwester ist am, but, you know, you could give that as an option. So you've got a real variety here. You could add in other months of the year. You've got your little instructions here. Depending on what class you've got, you could give them the instructions ahead of time, or you could let them work it out. Again, depending on the class that you've got, you could be very explicit about what you want them to do in Battleships. Some of them have never played Battleships, shock horror, but they've never played Battleships. Or figure it out. And actually sometimes letting them figure it out with a very gentle, encouraging target language rule. That might work. Again, experiment, it's your class. And this is quite important, just giving them the vocab for the game. Okay, so Schiffe versenken. Wir spielen Schiffe versenken. Du hast 3 Schiffe. Ship. Right? I am, by the way, one of these teachers that wants to use a lot of target language, but I recognise that mixed, you know, in this instance, English and German, is actually very, very important for helping them understand things. Making yourself understood is really important. And my long-term goal is to build up to lots and lots and lots of target language. But if someone doesn't understand me, again, less stress, the better. This sponge needs to be open and amenable to taking in language. If it's stressed and it's embarrassed or humiliated or just whatever, cut that out straight away. They need to understand in order to then be able to play. So it's not a question of compromise. Use both. Try and use as much target language as possible, but don't be afraid of explaining things in English. This classroom needs to be an encouraging and a welcoming place where they don't feel like they're being punished for not knowing something that they don't know. So go around, encourage them. They're going to go, teenage lads are going to go, got you, is that right? Not I got you. Ich hab dich getroffen. Ich hab dich gesunken. Dein Schiff ist gesunken. Ich hab dein Schiff gesunken. And let them start to express themselves, in that emotion and that passion, that competitive spirit in German. And that's really, I'd say that's quite important. You don't just want them to be saying, ich habe am 8. November Geburtstag. That, by the way, that would be another aspect. Certainly with my class that I've kept having to drill. It's not ich habe am 8. November, 8. 9, 10, 1. Now maybe that's something that I've missed out. That might also be something that they pick up and they're like, it's not Einstein, is it? It's not Einstein. It's not Einstein. He was a scientist. It's not Einstein. Why is it? Sir? No, but right, cool. You've opened it. You've recognised it. The comfort to improvise. Once you've prepped, once you're confident that what you've done is effective, you've kind of gone through all of the routes to the end goal of the activity, if you will, and you know it works. You've trodden the path. There's no kind of slip-ups and obstacles. Brilliant. Let them explore. That's why I keep saying, and this is from personal experience, a 5-minute prep. Just visualize. Think, okay, is this self-explanatory? Or is it missing a critical piece? Because if it's missing a critical piece and you're trying to improvise midway, it totally kills the flow, and we want to keep that flow. All right, so I hope that's Battleships explained. I really do like it. Print it out obviously ahead of time, get them in 2s, and I promise you there is a lot of target language that can be got in here. It's not massive in terms of its variety. It's kind of similar to the Conti Steve Smith narrow texts idea, which is also really, really good. Again, the classroom isn't a place where they're getting the vast, unparalleled variety of vocab. This is almost like the workshop where we bring them in, we tinker on stuff, we teach them things, we help them to recognise it, and then hopefully this is the rocket pad that's sending them out into, the wonderful world of German Netflix or French YouTube or an exchange trip to Spain, and we're hopefully prepping them to go out into the real world. I think the two are complementary. I say this in quite a lot of my videos. I think the classroom is really important. You may have had experiences like me where you've had someone come on like an English language camp where I was on. They didn't even have A1 English, and they would have really benefited from just a few years of kind of intensive language teaching to get them to maybe A2, B1, and then they can just have conversations with friends. And that's what I mean by the launch pad. Sorry, the sun's getting on my eyes. That's what I mean by the launch pad, is that you've got them to a point where they can just just explode into space with the right sort of immersion and the right sort of input. Before then, I'm not convinced that just throwing them in the deep end is a good idea. And I think that's where the classroom can be a really helpful and enjoyable entry point. All right. Okay, well, I hope that's been helpful to you, Battleships. Another tool in your toolbox, another weapon in your arsenal. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.